action. Hello and welcome back to Statistics1 Exam 1 review. I know, in your infinite wisdom you picked to have an exam when you had the option not to have one. So now we have to go through this together. The exam is going to be in 2 days, and hopefully, right? And then we are going to talk about the content now. So the exam is on chapters 1, 2, and 3. So we have 3 chapters on this exam, and about third of the exam, just like about third of our material, is on definitions and concepts and things like that. So what is the procedure for figuring out population? What's the formula for population mean? I mean, what's the formula for population mean? How do you come up with, so there will be some questions which will ask you to either define things or to state the procedure. How do you do sampling, right? How do you read random number generator chart? So those are the questions. So definitions plus procedures. Say maybe 3 questions on that. I don't know. And then we have calculations. And then we have graphing. When I say graphing, clearly we're talking about histogram, we're talking about stem and leaf, we're talking about the dot plot, the box plot. So those are the guys. So let's go into details now. So the exam consists of these things. If I have to put numbers, though I hate to put numbers, but if I have to, let's say 3 questions over here, 5 questions over here, and 2 questions over here for a total of 10 questions. Now, that could change. Exam could have 12 questions if some of the questions are short, right? Like, what is box plot? Right? What is box plot? That's a question. Can that be a 10-point question? No, it can't be a 10-point question because your answer is the box plot is a graphical representation of a 5-number summary. I mean, come on, right? So we might have more questions, or there simply could be part A, part B, part C within one question to have all of these short things that actually are pretty much like a free grade. Now, calculations. What are we calculating? We are calculating, yeah, but that's at the end. What do we first calculate? We calculate mean, rest. So we have mean. We have mean, and then there is going to be X bar or mu, right? They are, one is sample, one is population. We have standard deviation, which is either S for sample or sigma for population. We have median. We have mode. We have relative frequency. Don't forget that one. We have z-score calculation. I shouldn't put this on, but since I put the median, 5-number summary. It's not a well, it could be calculation if you have to average the numbers to get it.
Yeah, what about random
Well, that's not calculation. That's a procedure, right? Well, yeah, IQR is coming up. We have the interquartile range and range. You will not be disappointed. I promise you. I will. What happened?
After 5 questions.
Oh, you saw a question that covers everything, right? Didn't we just do a question that did half of this list? I can test everything in one question. Look at this. I give you the population data and I tell you give me everything. That's your project, guys. That's your project. Can you do a 5-number summary of this data?
Yes.
That contains median, right? Is there a mode on this one? No, because there are no repetition, right? You can do a box plot. There's also graphing involved. Can you convert z-scores? There's your mean, right? So the entire question, what can we do looking at our list? We can do everything except these guys because they're sample, and that's it. You can do everything else. So I can put 2 questions on the test for calculation, because the next one is just going to say find the mean and the sample standard deviation for this sample. Boom. And then I actually ask you to pick the sample out of this using the generator, and there's you, right?
Will there be like upper limit and lower limit?
That's in the 5-number. Oh, you're right. Well, it is a part of 5-number summary, but it's worth of mentioning it on the side, because if I say outlier, that's the lower limit and upper limit, because you need them to make the cut. Technically, this should be understood, right? And it should be under the 5-number summary, because you are creating a box plot and you are not using outliers. And you need all of this stuff to get the outliers. But then again, we can do it separately. So that's the calculations. What formulas do you have to know and memorize? Again, no formula sheet. We have that the x bar is the summation of all xi's divided by lowercase n, because that's the sample. You have that the mu is summation of xi divided by sigma, divided by capital N for your population. You have the lowercase s, which is the sample standard deviation, summation xi minus x bar squared divided by n minus 1, sample again, and sigma, population standard deviation, summation xi minus mu squared divided by n. Now, if you want to go and learn the alternate ones, fine, use them. I don't care which one you use, just get the problem right. Procedure for median mode relative frequency. Rel frequency is the, what was it? Anyone? Yes. Frequency divided by n, or capital N, number of observations. Good. Z-score, you must memorize. We only have it for population, so it's observation x minus mu divided by sigma. The range formula you have to memorize, which is the max minus min. What's the IQR? Q3 minus Q1, beautiful. And now we have the lower limit and upper limit. So lower limit was? Yes. And what was the upper limit, someone else? Nice. So you see, for the lower limit, you go Q1 and then less than it. And the upper limit, you go Q3 and then more. And then the outlier is outside of that. I think we have all of our calculations. I will not ask you to draw graph of a pie chart, right, in a circle, but you might be asked to interpret the existing graph of the pie chart, because they're not as easy to draw. However, so we're done with calculations. Graphing. histogram, stem and leaf, box plot, and z-score line, and the dot plot. I'm trying to remember all of these, so histogram is also the bar graph. And I'll put over here interpret pie chart, pie graph, because again it's in a circle, so it's a little bit more annoying to graph it. Now for graphing, you need to be able to interpret all of these. The only one that you will not be responsible to know how to draw, even though you know how to draw, would be the pie chart. Technically, if you want to practice drawing these things, you draw the circle, and if you put the Mercedes sign inside, that each one is a third, all right, of the data. Now that's 33.3%. So, and then you know that if you cut it like this, each one is 25%. But then what do you do when I come up with the data that is 17 and then 38% and so on? So it's not as easy to draw, and I won't bother you with that, but you have to be able to read it to see which chunk is the biggest, right, and so on. Do you have any questions regarding the graphing? I mean, label everything, obviously. Yes?
We haven't done, at least I don't recall, seeing stem and leaf quizzes yet.
Probably, maybe today.
Okay,
hopefully. All of these should pop. So stem and leaf, if you recall stem and leaf, stem and leaf is going to take a number and cut last digit. So if you have 3759, this part is stem, this part is leaf. Now, ooh, you know what I forgot here? Distribution shapes. Wow. That's a big one. Yes. Symmetric, bimodal, skewed left, skewed right, bell shape, triangle shape, very good. And we have the, what's the flat one? Uniform, very good. Yeah. So for stem and leaf, if your data is 38, 41, 46, 53, 59, you will have 3, 4, 5 here, and then 8, 1, 6, and 3 and 9. So that will be stem and leaf. All right, good. Anything else? Where's my A? There's an A over here. You don't see it, but anything else? Yes. Oh, you want commas here? Sure.
I mean, is it bad if we put commas, or is it?
Well, we should know the theory that you shouldn't put the commas, because in a theory it says that only one number is allowed. So you will never read this as 16 or 39, because we know that in the leaf part you are only allowed to have one. Anything else? Yes.
Can we go over the random sampling? Because sometimes, like, on the homework, it'll tell you, like, the directions of where to count it, but it's so confusing. Like, on the quizzes, it would say, like, oh, column 2, and I didn't know, like, we were supposed to do column 2 going this way or this way. And
There's a row and a column. You can't have column this way. Column. So columns go down, and then you either go down and then up in this motion, or you go down and you go down, depending on it. Now, the book focuses on this one, so just go down and then turn and go up. Yeah, that's the way the book likes to go. They start this way and then they go up in the next. So it's fine, whatever.
You're not going to do this little big chart.
No. It's going to be a little segment if I have it at all. Yes. There is a petition started signing to take it out. Yes.
On 3.1, there was like a question at the end I wanted to ask about. It was you have to find the mean of like the data set, and then it said to like the 5% and 10%. So I ended up like figuring it out, but I don't know if we went over that or if that's okay.
Exams are supposed to be learning experience as well, right?
Oh.
So based on the quizzes, right?
Yes.
What we have on the quizzes. If we're doing,
I promise you won't be disappointed.
okay, so if we're doing well on those, we should expect the same type of questions on the.
Yeah. There's nothing else we can
We're
do.
doing well on those.
Good. Oh, yes.
I want you to find your notes online. I was having trouble finding them.
Where are the notes online?
Google Docs.
Google Docs. And where do you find the link for that?
YouTube.
Under any of the videos, there is a link. Good. All right. See you all in 2 days.
Okay, you're not going to
We have to know definitions.
Yeah.